Hi guys, so today's video is going to be your 20 steps to how formulate a good research paper. So I know that it's about that time of the school year where research papers start coming in due and you start getting a ton of things that you have to finish. And along with doing research comes reading and contextualizing and checking out books from the library. So I wanted to make sure that I got this video hopefully before any of your research papers are due. So the research paper I'm working on right now is one on Galileo, or his letter to the Grand Duchess, which was written in 1516, but not, or 1615. Oh, I have it in my notes, but it was unpublished till 1636. Anyway, the first step that you want to do is that you want to start with the assignment right away. So as soon as you get the assignment, you want to start it. And I don't mean, oh, you're going to rush to the library and get a ton of books done, but you really want to start thinking about it. Just because some assignments will be, okay, here's the prompt, here's everything, you just have to come up with an answer. But some of them, like mine, you have to select a piece, you have to pick your own question, you have to pick what you're going to do with it. So that's why you want to get started on it right away. Then the second thing that you want to do is you want to read the assignment very carefully. Make sure that you fully understand what you have to do and that as you're doing the assignment, that you fulfill every single part of it. Just because if you skip a part, that might lower your grade by a lot, and you want to make sure that you don't do that. For example, for mine at this point, I have to have selected a piece, have a tentative thesis, like not a solid one, but something that I can work with. Then I have to have at least 5 secondary sources along with my piece. So it's stuff like that. Then the other thing that you have to select, or that you have to look up, is to see whether your noting is going to be MLA, APA, Chicago style. There is also, oh yeah, Chicago style. So there's just 3. Or is it some sort of different notation that's a lot easier? Just because as you start taking your notes, as I've said before, you want to make sure that you notate in what you're going to end up notating in, that you don't just put a page number. You might as well just fix it up, double spaced it, Roman 12 point, so that once it comes time for you to write your essay, you can just copy and paste from a different page. And the other one is using your time management skills. So let's say you set up that by tomorrow you have to have this amount of work done. Make sure that you keep up with your deadlines. That's where your planner comes in as well. Just because once you get yourself behind, you don't want to just be on the deadline of when the paper is due. You want to take it in chunks so that it's easier for you to manage. Then the other one is, if you have to, then decide on a topic. For some assignments, a topic will be given to you. If you can decide on your own topic, you need to decide what interests you. So what do you want to do? If you can talk to others in the class, instructor, brainstorm, free write, or a mind map, or do a mind map to get ideas. So that's what we did in class yesterday for another research paper that I have to do. For the one in Galileo, she had a ton of options, and then we could pick something else and just show it to her, just to ensure that we were within the time period that we needed to be. But I've read the letter to the Grand Duchess Christina before. I really like it. I think it's interesting. I like how, if you guys don't know about it, basically Galileo writes this letter to the Grand Duchess defending his point on the heliocentric model of the universe. And at the time he was getting really just pushed on by the church, and they were basically using scripture to tell him that he was wrong and he was a heretic. So in this letter, he defends his point, and then he also points out to different parts of the scripture and other religious figures who, agreed with him. So that's what I like about it. Then if you're given a source to write about, read it at least 3 times. And I know 3 times seems excessive, and when you're a student, sometimes, you're lucky if you read it once, but if it's going to be for a research paper, you want to make sure that you fully understand it. So the first writing, or the first reading of it, I would say you can go ahead and skim it as long as you have the basic understanding of what's going on and you kind of get the gist of it, it's good. Then once you start thinking about what you want to do with it, then you want to go ahead and read it again and see what you find weird or interesting. What did you not expect about the piece? What was expected about the piece? And then the third time that you go ahead and read it, you're going to start pulling quotes out that you think, again, are interesting or strange or weird, or passages that you don't understand, and look up vocab right away. When you're doing older time periods like 1500s, 1400s, sometimes the wording is a bit different, or if you're reading a really academic Journals, sometimes they'll use words that you haven't come across before. So you want to make sure that you understand exactly what they're saying. Just because if it's a higher level academic journal that you're reading, there's a reason why they picked that word. So the other one is decide on a working thesis. So just a tentative thesis, like Galileo supported his scientific discoveries with scripture because he wanted to appeal to a larger audience. So that could be one of them. So you can argue that, since Christina, since the Grand Duchess Christina was a devout Catholic and the letter was to her, that's why he would appeal to other religious people and scripture to support his idea, and also because letters were in wide circulation at that time, so it made sense. The other one is to use reliable information and sources. So academic journals would be a great one. I know that they have like different academic journal websites that are available to university students. Like for me, it would be JSTOR. Then the other one that never goes out of style are books. This one is on The Earth Moves. Whoops. It's on Galileo. Then I have Galileo Goes to Jail. Then I have Tertullian, and that's because he quotes him. So I wanted to know a little bit more about him. Then I have Galileo Galilei, which is an earlier book. Then I have just Galileo. And as you guys can see, I have 5 books. Then I have the actual source, and I have 4 more that I'm waiting for, because in total she wants 10. So then take careful notes. So if I'm going to start with this book, then I'm going to do the Chicago style for it, because that's what history is notated in. Then I would go ahead, and if I take a quote, put it in quotes right away, and then do a little footnote, get a page number, have all that set. And when I go ahead and do it, I don't just do the bibliography. I also do the footnote, just because we footnote in all of the papers that I'm doing now. If you're doing endnotes, then you would endnote. It might be slightly different, but you want to go ahead and have all that done. Just because as you're writing your paper, you want to worry about the wording. You don't want to worry about footnoting and all that stuff, and this eliminates it right away. So the other thing is to organize your information. So start clumping things together. If this stuff is going to be about Tertullian, this stuff is going to be about St. Augustine, this time it's going to be about St. Jerome, and then you're going to have your stuff about Galileo, your stuff about the Grand Duchess if you need it, and then anything else that's coming along with that. Just so that you see it in chunks, and as you're writing your paper, it's going to be very organized, and you're not going to have random facts everywhere. So the other thing is to write your paper. So you actually want to sit down and go ahead and write it. Again, I do outline first, like a bones outline is what we call it, and then I go ahead and start writing off of that, and within that bones outline I already have all the examples that go with every single point. So then you want to go ahead and go back and check your paper for plagiarism. So did you plagiarize? Did you signal and cite every time you used an author's ideas? Did you keep direct quotes to a minimum? So that's another thing. You want to be able to paraphrase, which I know can be very hard, but you don't want to have like a bajillion quotes. I think 3 quotes per idea is pretty good. And are all the quotations and quote marks cited? Is it clear where your ideas start and where the ideas of the author end? Remember, if another author has the same idea as you, you got to print it first as the author's original idea. So if you have an idea, like let's say you think that yes, indeed, Galileo created this letter the way he did because he wanted to appeal to a larger audience, and there's another historian whose book you read that had the same idea, then you want to say, just as blank, Galileo got his ideas, blah, 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 and then you want to footnote that, and then footnote the book itself. So then you want to revise your paper. So you want to add, delete, and organize. I think that the best part is to separate it and then to see where your stronger points are, where your weaker points are. You might scrap half of the paper and be like, you know what, this was narrative. I was just telling the events instead of giving actual analysis. So you should probably be able to delete half of what you have written and get rid of unneeded narrative. Then reread what you have written. So again, go back. Does it make sense? Did you leave something out? Do you need to get rid of something? Does your paper actually focus on the argument? Will the audience understand your reasoning? And this time also check for tone and word usage. So is your tone passive? You don't want to write a passive paper because then things happen to things and it's kind of boring to read. So the other one is to revise, then to read what you have written, and then revise, 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 revise. So you want to make sure that you are revising a lot and that you are making sure that your paper isn't maybe too long or too short, or you're not explaining certain aspects of it enough. So again, I really hope that that helps. That's kind of a sheet that I have to writing a history paper, but I feel like a lot of the points really transcend and are good for writing any research paper. And then along with that, I'm going to do a paper later or a video later on how to contextualize, because that's where you're going to get your research. Because here I'm assuming that you have your source, you already picked it up, and you already have your research materials that you're going to be getting your ideas out of. So again, I hope this helps, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.